Today we're delving into the shadows of the past to uncover some of the most disturbing and haunting events in human history. From genocides to dark experiments and societal tragedies, these historical facts are not for the faint of heart. As we explore these dark chapters, let's remember the importance of acknowledging and learning from our history, no matter how unsettling it may be. Brace yourselves for a journey into the annals of time that will leave you with a profound understanding of the darker side of our shared human experience. The Holocaust, the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews by the Nazis during World War II, along with millions of others, is a dark chapter in human history. The Holocaust was led by German dictator Adolf Hitler. He ordered executions and committed tons of war crimes. The Nazi Party had concentration camps where they experimented on human subjects and worked on nuclear bombs and supposedly wonder weapons known in German as the Wunderwaffe. A conspiracy theory of one of these weapons is known as Die Glocke, a bell-shaped object that had anti-gravity powers, but that's probably just science fiction. Unit 731. The Japanese military's covert biological and chemical warfare research unit during World War II conducted inhumane experiments on thousands of prisoners. Unit 731 is short for Himanshu Detachment. 731, and is also known as the Kamo Detachment and the Ishii Unit. It is estimated that 200,000 to 300,000 were killed with lethal human experimentation and biological weapons. Some of these methods were putting people in hypobaric pressure chambers, conducting vivisections. A vivisection is the practice of performing operations on live animals or humans for experimentation or scientific research. The Rwandan Genocide. From April 7, 1994 to July 15, 1994, an estimated 800,000 Tutsis were brutally killed by the Hutu majority in just 100 days. On April 6, 1994, President Juvenal Habyarimana was killed when his plane was shot down by a surface-to-air missile. His death set off the Rwandan genocide where Hutu militias murdered Tutsis. Sexual assault was also prevalent during this time, with an estimated 250 to 500,000 women falling victim, coming to an end about 100 days later when the RPF captured Kigali. The Spanish Inquisition, established in the late 15th century, it resulted in the torture and execution of thousands accused of heresy. Over this time in Spain, Jews faced persecution and would be forced to be baptized or die. Churches during the time would force others to either convert to their religion or face the consequences. There would be public ceremonies where people would listen to the charges against the condemned and listen to sermons. After sermons, the condemned were turned over to authorities to be punished for their crimes, which included extreme punishments like execution or life imprisonment. The Trail of Tears. The forced relocation of Native American tribes, particularly the Cherokee, by the U.S. government in the 1830s led to the deaths of thousands. The Indian Removal Act was signed by President Andrew Jackson. It is estimated around 60,000 indigenous Americans were forcibly relocated to what the United States called Indian Territory. The first nation to be removed was the Choctaw people. These Native American tribes were exposed to weather they weren't used to, as well as disease and starvation. The Armenian Genocide. In the early 20th century, the Ottoman Empire systematically killed and deported over 1 million Armenians during World War II. Invasions on Russian and Persian territory in 1914. Ottoman paramilitaries killed local Armenians. Armenians were subject to semi-feudal conditions and commonly were included in forced labor, illegal taxation, and unpunished crimes like robberies, murders, and sexual assaults. While under the orders of Enver Pasha, the Minister of War, Ottoman armies ravaged and destroyed Armenian villages and homes. The killing fields of Cambodia. Under the Khmer Rouge regime in the 1970s, nearly 2 million Cambodians were killed through execution, forced labor, and starvation. The Khmer Rouge regime would sponsor mass killings, and an estimated 20,000 mass graves are calculated to be around 1.4 million victims of execution, with another 1.3 people dying from disease and starvation. This event of genocide and mass killing spanned from 1975 to 1979. The genocide came to an end in 1979, when Vietnam invaded democratic Kampuchea and crumbled the Khmer Rouge regime. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study, conducted by the U.S. Public Health Service from 1932 to 1972, African American men were left untreated for syphilis to observe the progression of the disease. Taliaferro Clark, head of the USPHS or United States Public Health Service, was credited with founding the study group. The initial goal was to follow untreated syphilis in a group of African American men for 6 months to 1 year, then they would be treated. The study was supposed to end, but it continued, and African American men would be told they had bad blood and they needed to come in for treatment, but it was just a trick to be able to observe what was going on up close. The Nanking Massacre. During the Second Sino-Japanese War, Japanese forces committed mass killings and sexual violence against Chinese civilians in Nanking. The massacre began on December 13, 1937, and lasted for 6 weeks. The estimated range of deaths is 40,000 to 300,000 victims. The perpetrators were the Imperial Japanese Army, led by Prince Yasuhiko Asaka, General Iwane Matsui, and Lt. Colonel Isamu Cho. Prince Asaka was granted immunity for being a part of the imperial family and was never tried for his crimes. The Salem Witch Trials. In 1692, in colonial Massachusetts, 20 people were executed after being accused of witchcraft during a wave of hysteria. More than 200 people were accused of witchcraft. 30 of them were found guilty, and 19 were executed by hanging. 14 of the victims were women, and 5 were men. One man named Giles Corey died under torture after not confessing, and at least 5 others died while in jail. People in Salem at the time took these accusations seriously, since the communities made in the Americas at the time were pursued for religious freedom.